Hi everyone, welcome to Leggari Products. We're excited you're joining us today. You're about to see Tyler updating a 4-year-old metallic epoxy countertop. It held up amazing for the past 4 years, but our customer was ready for a new look. So check out this new look and this new technique right here. Leggari.
Welcome back to Leggari, everyone. We're at Josh's house. We did these counters about 4 years ago. Didn't put a top coat on them. It's our old resin, and you can see how durable these are, how well they've held up. They haven't done anything to this. No top coat, nothing. Just used it, abused it, and it still looks amazing. It still has a gloss to it. We're gonna switch it up a little bit today, but we did the whole kitchen about, I want to say just over 4 years. And this is when we were doing the hot bars. We put the hot bars in here so we could put his hot pan down. But super cool. Our products have come a long way since then, and they're still back then were amazing products. So when you guys buy with us, have peace of mind that you're getting the best that you can. So what I'm doing before we apply the new kit, scuffing up the surface, sanding it with 80 grit. I'm going around all the edges, sanding those, rounding them out a little, sanding the edge. And if we have any drips underneath, I'm also sanding those flat. So we'll get this all sanded, prepped, wipe it clean. We have our sander hooked up to a vacuum. That's going to minimize a lot of dust. And it's always good to sand before you do plastic or anything. That way you don't have plastic with dust and stuff on it in case you need to use some epoxy that's fell on it. So sand before, clean it up, and then plastic everything off. So we got everything prepped, sanded the edges. We rounded these edges a little better, got any drips from the previous coating off, and now we're going to apply our primer. This countertop is actually really hard to sand. It is rock hard, 4 years old. We're going to show you how you can just go right over it. If you wanted to keep the same counter and just shine it back up, you could lightly sand it, apply our glaze coat, top coat, and it would bring this counter back to life, make it look brand new. And I'll show you how that kind of works. So once the epoxy would hit the surface, it would basically bring the color right back. So that's what epoxy would do to it, and it would give you that brand new gloss smooth finish like day one. So that's another option. Cool benefit of our counter kits is you can just re-top coat them, make them look brand new years down the road. So we're just going to pour some piles out, cross roll it. This primer goes pretty far, so the best way is to just dip and roll. Get a little 6-inch roller tray and dip and roll it. So I like to do all my tops, get the top done, and then do the edges. That way if I gotta lean over, I'm not really getting it all over my clothes. when going over existing coatings, or sometimes counters that are contaminated with something, you might get some fish iron. If we get some of that on here, I'll show you guys the fix for that. You just let the product get a little sticky and hit it again. The primer does two things for you. It pigments the surface to whatever base color you're going to be applying, so it tints it. Because if this was a white counter, and say we wanted to do black over it, you wouldn't want to just put a black epoxy and hope it covers. So this primer basically tints it the color you need it, and the main thing it does is create an amazing bond with whatever surface you're coating over. This primer will not chip or peel up. It's not like a paint. It chemically etches into other surfaces like Formica, epoxy, granite, marble. It's an amazing product. Zero VOCs. Just go around and look, and if you got thick spots or a thick edge, just roll it out. It's not going to affect anything, it'll just take longer to dry. The primer's designed to go on thin, but it is an epoxy based primer, so it can be put on a little thicker if needed. So I like to pour the bead out down the middle and then just cross roll it, feathering it out. We've taken the hot bars, so we're not going to remove them, they're locked in that first layer. Taped them all off, and we're just going to go around those. Should look pretty clean when we're done. The hot bars are simple. You just apply those when the epoxy's still wet, and that epoxy will lock them in. Great way to set hot pans down right off the oven. The oven stove goes right there. And if you get too much out where this is way too thick, you can just kind of pull it back into the bucket. The other option is to roll your roller on some cardboard. That'll soak up the primer on your roller, and then you can go re-hit that spot that was really thick. Alright, so we got the epoxy mixed up. We're going to pour black out everywhere, then we're going to pour silver out everywhere. We're going to blend it with a small little Bondo squeegee. So right now all I'm going to do is just pour this stuff out randomly, kind of all over. And we're going to come back with the gray. And then if we do get stuff that's going to start dripping, we want to stop that. And we'll just take our squeegee and just push it back a little. No point in just letting it run off the edge. So it's good to get some product on everything before you kind of run out. So we're going to make sure we get it all over. And once you start pouring it, It's going to start dripping off the bucket, so just be cautious of where you're walking. Now a little trick, we want to move fast because we've already got our part B mixed up. So what I'm going to do now is just get this roller soaked up. I'm still leaving some spots open. I'm going to go through and just get it on a lot of these edges. so now we're gonna add our dispersing effects. It's always good to like test it in a spot that's not as noticeable in case you just absolutely hate the look. So we'll come maybe back here on this little ledge, give it a couple mists, right? And see, make sure that's the look we're wanting, which we already know what we're gonna get and what we're going for, but if you're trying to do this for your first time, it's always good to test spots like that. So we'll go through, we're gonna do a couple different colors, and then we're gonna do clear also. So I'm gonna try to get some bigger drips. Look at how it affects it right away. Gives it a really cool look. And it's all that's doing is dispersing the epoxy and the metallics, and it's creating these effects. It's cool because this also will pop your bubbles that you have in your epoxy if you have any, but you know our product hardly ever gets bubbles. So what we're going for is these bigger cells. These bigger cells that you see, that's kind of what we're after. That's why I'm spritzing it and I'm not really misting it. It's cool because if you did this on your counter and you absolutely hated it, take that squeegee, roll over it again, spread it all out, mix it in, and all these effects will go away. It's really cool. All right, so this is silver. We're not going to do a whole lot of silver since it's already got it out there. We call this layering. When you start layering the dispersing effects, then you start getting some really cool looks. Because each color will do different effects. Some will give you more dispersing effects than others. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to come through with clear. Get some close-ups here. It's just such a cool how it affects the metallics. It just pushes it down and just creates some crater-like effects. So we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes and then we'll come back and spray it again, because if you do it too early, a lot of these effects will just go away. They'll dissipate because the epoxy is so fluid and still leveling out. This is a close-up of the surface with our dispersing effects. Isn't that cool? Alright, so we're going to pull the tape right now. That way the material can just flow up to it and level out. Good to take your time and tape it good. That way when you pull it, it's easy. Always tape high. That way they're easy to pull. And see how clean those look. Might have a couple spots where we got to touch up, but looks like we just set them in there again. Alright, so we're finishing up. These counters look phenomenal, super cool. The edges turned out really well. Everything's kind of flowing over the edges, just like we wanted. We didn't really have to do anything to the edges. The tops look amazing. Now all we really need to do is take a paint stick or a putty knife or whatever. You can even use your finger in a glove and run it on the bottom edge of the counter. And that gets rid of your drips. Our hot bars are looking great. Didn't really get any epoxy on them except the tops, but those will chip right off tomorrow once it gets hard. And on the edges, all we're doing now is just waiting and running this down the edge, getting rid of any drips. And we'll do this maybe 2 or 3 times over the next hour and a half, making sure we don't get any drips. Check out how cool this turned out. We used the same colors, different effects, totally different look. Went over our existing countertop kit that we did 4 years ago, and now we have a cool granite looking colored countertop. Kind of the same color theme, but a lot different looks. We got a lot of dispersing effects out there. It really shimmers and shines when the light hits it, and that's from our metallic dispersing effects hitting the surface. And so now we just wait for it to set up and dry, and then they're going to install their sinks, paint the cabinets, do the backsplash, and we'll come and do an after video so you guys can see the total transformation in this kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're always posting new footage, and also follow us on our social media pages. We're always posting customer installs there. You can see some really cool projects. And if you guys have some ideas for new projects, let us know below in the comments. Share this video, help us get the word out. And remember, Leggari.com has you covered.